It swelling too fast, the maid ripped her skirt to save him, leaving the billionaire frozen. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into the story. Imagine this. You're in a high-end restaurant, and everything feels surreal. Let's rewind and meet the main character. This is where our story begins. It was a few days after the awkward blind date that Emma Brooks found herself unexpectedly facing Liam Parker again. She had almost convinced herself that the encounter was a fluke, something that happened in the chaotic maze of life and would be forgotten in time. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. It was a Thursday morning when she received a message from an unknown number. "I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to meet you again. I think there's something worth talking about. Liam Parker." Emma froze, staring at the screen, unsure of how to respond. The embarrassment from their first meeting was still fresh in her mind. She wasn't sure whether to laugh or just ignore it. But curiosity tugged at her, and after a few moments of hesitation, she agreed to meet him. "Table 12, 3 p.m., she typed back. He responded almost instantly, "I'll see you then." Her heart skipped a beat. It was the same restaurant, the same table, the same place where everything had gone wrong the last time. She was nervous but determined to face him again, this time without running away. She wanted to hear him out, even if she had no idea why he was reaching out to her. When Emma arrived, she found Liam already seated at the table, dressed in a sharp suit, looking every bit the businessman she had imagined him to be. The sight of him made her stomach flip, but she walked over, determined to get through this meeting without the awkwardness of the first encounter. "Hey," she said, trying to sound confident as she sat down across from him. "I'm sorry about the other day. I really didn't expect that to happen." Liam smiled, and for a moment, his expression softened. "No need to apologize. I should have said something sooner. I didn't mean for it to be such a mess. But I'm glad we're here now. I'd like to explain myself." He paused, as if weighing his words. "I think you deserve an explanation." Emma was taken aback. "An explanation for what?" she asked, her voice tinged with confusion. Liam took a deep breath. "The thing is, I wasn't completely honest with you the other day. I didn't mean to mislead you, but the truth is, I'm not just a guy who works in tech." Emma furrowed her brow, unsure of where he was going with this. "What do you mean?" "I'm the CEO of Parker Tech," he said, his voice calm but steady. "A tech company worth billions." Emma's eyes widened in surprise, and her heart raced. The man she had mistaken for just another businessman was actually a millionaire. A billionaire, no less. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her mind was racing, trying to process what he had just revealed. Was this some sort of joke? But his serious expression told her it wasn't. "I know this might be a shock," Liam continued, "but I've been thinking about you ever since that day. You were honest with me in a way no one has ever been. You didn't care about my wealth or my position. You just treated me like a regular guy. And that's something I haven't experienced in a long time." Emma's chest tightened. She didn't know how to respond. She was still trying to come to terms with the fact that the man she had thought was just another person at a blind date was actually someone with such incredible power and wealth. "I know this might sound crazy," Liam added, his eyes locking onto hers, "but I wanted to get to know you better. Not because of my money or my status, but because of who you are." Emma sat back in her chair, feeling a wave of emotions crash over her. She had spent so much time hiding behind her insecurities, trying to make a living, working her way up, and dealing with the pressure of her dreams. The thought that someone as successful as Liam Parker would be interested in her, a waitress with big dreams but little means, was overwhelming. "I know this is a lot to take in," Liam said, breaking the silence that had stretched between them. "But I wanted to offer you something, a job, a chance to pursue your art. I didn't mean to mislead you, but the truth is, I'm not just a guy who works in tech." Emma furrowed her brow, unsure of where he was going with this. "What do you mean?" "I'm the CEO of Parker Tech," he said, his voice calm but steady. "A tech company worth billions." Emma's eyes widened in surprise, and her heart raced. The man she had mistaken for just another businessman was actually a millionaire. A billionaire, no less. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. "I didn't mean to mislead you, But the truth is, I'm not just a guy who works in tech. Emma furrowed her brow, unsure of where he was going with this. What do you mean? I'm the CEO of Parker Tech, he said, his voice calm but steady. A tech company worth billions. Emma's eyes widened in surprise, and her heart raced. The man she had mistaken for just another businessman was actually a millionaire. A billionaire, no less. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She wasn't sure what to think or how to feel, but one thing was clear. Her life was about to take a turn she hadn't anticipated. Emma sat there, her mind racing as she processed everything Liam had just told her. The idea of being offered a job by a billionaire, the chance to finally open her art studio, seemed almost too good to be true. She tried to focus, but her thoughts were a whirlwind, and the weight of the decision weighed heavily on her. It wasn't just about the job or the opportunity, it was about what this meant for her life. Would accepting Liam's offer mean she was taking the easy way out? Would it make her feel indebted to him? Or could it be a chance to finally chase her dreams without worrying about the financial burden that had been holding her back for so long? As she sat in silence, Liam watched her carefully, giving her space to think. His gaze softened, understanding the overwhelming nature of what he was offering. Take your time, he said gently, breaking the silence. I know it's a lot to process, but you deserve this chance. You've worked hard, and I want to see you succeed. Emma nodded, her heart still beating erratically in her chest. She knew this was more than just a job offer. It was a chance for a fresh start, a way out of the life she had been stuck in. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized she wasn't just being offered a job. She was being offered a whole new life, one she hadn't even dared to dream of. I just don't know, she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. It's not just the money. I've been on my own for so long, trying to make it work. This feels like too much. Liam's expression softened even more. I get it, he said. You're used to doing things on your own, and I respect that. But sometimes, we all need a little help to get where we want to go. You don't have to do it alone anymore. One afternoon, as she was working late in the office, Liam stopped by her desk. He had a habit of doing that, checking in on her progress, offering advice, and, when necessary, a word of encouragement. This time, he noticed the look of exhaustion on her face. You've been working non-stop, Liam said with a smile, leaning against the edge of her desk. Take a break. You're doing great, but I can see the stress piling up. Emma chuckled, rubbing her eyes. It wasn't just about the job or the opportunity. It was about what this meant for her life. Would accepting Liam's offer mean she was taking the easy way out? Would it make her feel indebted to him? Or could it be a chance to finally chase her dreams without worrying about the financial burden that had been holding her back for so long? As she sat in silence, Liam watched her carefully, giving her space to think. His gaze softened, understanding the overwhelming nature of what he was offering. I just want you to think about it. You've worked hard enough to deserve something better than just getting by. Emma took a deep breath, her mind still in turmoil but starting to clear. She couldn't deny that this was a chance she couldn't afford to ignore. But part of her still hesitated, unsure of what accepting his offer would really mean. What would she be giving up? What kind of life would she be stepping into? She wasn't sure, but the possibility of having a future that wasn't filled with constant worry about money or survival was enough to make her want to try. I'll think about it, she said finally, her voice steadier now. I just need some time. Liam nodded, his smile widening just a little. Take all the time you need, but know this, whether you take the offer or not, I believe in you. You've got something special, Emma, and I want to see you reach your full potential. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years, hope. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a start. A chance to change her life, a chance to stop surviving and start living. She wasn't sure where this path would take her, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid of the unknown. She was ready to face it. Emma sat down, her nerves still present but now tempered with a sense of determination. I'm ready, she said, her voice steady. I want to take this opportunity, Liam. I want to build my future. Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up with pride. I knew you would, he said, and I promise you, this is just the beginning. You've got something special, Emma. We're going to do amazing things together. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was an opportunity she couldn't let slip away. As the days passed, she tried to focus on her work and her routine, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw the possibilities he had laid out for her. a chance to finally chase her dream of opening an art studio, a chance to live a life without worrying about rent or bills or the next paycheck. But still, there was doubt. Could she really take this step? Could she trust someone like him? Could she trust herself? It was early in the morning when she finally decided. She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking just slightly as she typed out a message to Liam. "I've been thinking about what you said. I'm ready to take the chance. I'm in." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The moment the message was sent, her heart raced. She stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity, waiting for a response. It wasn't long before his reply came through. "I'm glad to hear that. Let's meet today at 2 p.m. I'll take care of everything. I'll see you then." Emma took a deep breath, her nerves still on edge, but something inside her had shifted. She had made the decision. Now, it was time to follow through. The clock seemed to move slower as the minutes ticked by. But finally, it was time. She dressed in a simple, comfortable outfit, trying to calm her nerves. When she arrived at the address Liam had given her, she found herself standing in front of a sleek, modern office building. The glass doors opened automatically as she stepped inside, and she felt a wave of unfamiliarity wash over her. This wasn't the world she knew. It was foreign, intimidating, but there was something exciting about it too. She took the elevator to the top floor, her heart beating louder with each passing second. When the doors opened, she stepped into a grand lobby, where sleek marble floors and chrome accents gleamed in the sunlight pouring through the windows. A receptionist greeted her with a smile, directing her to Liam's office. She followed the hallway, her footsteps echoing as she walked. Finally, she reached a set of large double doors. She paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. This was it. She knocked gently, and Liam's voice called out from the other side. "Come in." When she entered, Liam was standing by his desk, looking as calm and collected as ever. His suit was perfectly tailored, his hair neatly styled. He looked every bit the successful CEO he had revealed himself to be. But as he smiled and walked toward her, Emma felt something unexpected. Warmth. He extended his hand, and she took it, feeling the firm grip of his handshake. "I'm glad you're here," he said, his voice genuine. "Please, have a seat." Could she really take this step? Could she trust someone like him? Could she trust herself? It was early in the morning when she finally decided. She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking just slightly as she typed out a message to Liam. "I've been thinking about what you said. I'm ready to take the chance. I'm in." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The moment the message was sent, her heart raced. She stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity, waiting for a response. As they sat and discussed the details of her new role and the steps she would take to open her studio, Emma felt a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't just about the job. This was about stepping into her own power, about believing in herself and her dreams. It wasn't going to be easy, but it was going to be worth it. After they finished talking, Liam stood up and walked her to the door. "I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll do," he said with a smile. Emma nodded, her heart full of new hope. She was ready for the challenges ahead, ready to step into a future she had once only dreamed of. As she left the office, she realized that this wasn't just a job offer. It was a chance for a new beginning, a chance to become the person she had always known she could be. And with that thought in mind, she walked out of the building, the future ahead of her, filled with endless possibilities. As days passed, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of both excitement and anxiety as she began to settle into her new role. The art studio she had dreamed of for so long was finally starting to take shape. Liam had kept his promise, offering her not only the opportunity to work with his company, but also the support she needed to make her dream a reality. The financial backing, the resources, the mentorship, everything was falling into place. But with this new opportunity came new challenges, ones that Emma had never faced before. As she sat in her small office, surrounded by sketches and ideas for her art studio, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking on unfamiliar ground. The world she was stepping into was different from anything she had ever known, and she was beginning to feel the weight of it. Liam's company, Parker Tech, was a massive operation, and though she had a position working with their creative department, the pressure to prove herself was starting to build. She was no longer just a waitress with dreams of painting. She was now a part of something much bigger. The work was challenging, and there were moments when she doubted herself, but with every passing day, she grew more determined to succeed. As they sat and discussed the details of her new role and the steps she would take to open her studio, Emma felt a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't just about the job. This was about stepping into her own power, about believing in herself and her dreams. It wasn't going to be easy, but it was going to be worth it. After they finished talking, Liam stood up and walked her to the door. "I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll do," he said with a smile. Emma nodded, her heart full of new hope. She was ready for the challenges ahead, ready to step into a future she had once only dreamed of. As she left the office, she realized that this wasn't just a job offer. It was a chance for a new beginning, a chance to become the person she had always known she could be. And with that thought in mind, she walked out of the building, the future ahead of her, filled with endless possibilities. For the first time in a long while, someone was telling her that it was okay to take a step back, to breathe, and to appreciate the progress she had already made. She had been so focused on the end goal that she had forgotten to acknowledge how far she had come. "Thanks, Liam," she said quietly, her shoulders relaxing. "I needed to hear that." He smiled warmly. "Anytime. And remember, if you need anything, I'm here. Don't hesitate to reach out." Emma nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She had always been someone who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, but in this moment, she realized that it was okay to lean on others when necessary. As she continued to work, she found herself gaining more confidence. Liam's support, along with her growing sense of purpose, fueled her determination to keep moving forward. And slowly, she began to see the fruits of her labor. "I'm just trying to make sure everything is perfect," she replied, her voice tinged with frustration. "I want to get it right. I've never had this kind of opportunity before." Liam's expression softened, and he sat down across from her. "I get that, but perfection doesn't happen overnight, Emma. You're doing something incredible here, and I have no doubt that you'll make it work. Just don't forget to take care of yourself along the way." His words resonated with her more than she had expected. She thought about how far she had come, and how different her life had become in such a short time. It wasn't just about the art studio anymore. It was about finding her own worth, about realizing that she was capable of achieving her dreams, no matter how impossible they had once seemed. On the night of the grand opening, Emma stood in front of the gallery, surrounded by the vibrant pieces of art that told her story. Liam was there, of course, standing at her side, smiling proudly. "You did it," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Emma looked around at the crowd that had gathered to see her work, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. "I couldn't have done it without your help," she said, her voice full of gratitude. Liam nodded, his smile genuine. "You did all the hard work, Emma. I just gave you the opportunity. You've earned this." The opening was a success, far beyond what Emma had imagined. People admired her work, and word of her art studio spread quickly. But more than that, she realized that she had truly built something of her own, something she could be proud of. As the night came to an end, and the guests began to leave, Emma took a moment to step outside and look up at the night sky. The world seemed different now. It was full of possibilities, full of promise. She had no idea what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she wasn't afraid to face it. She had finally found her place, and it was just the beginning. As the weeks passed after the grand opening of her art studio, Emma began to settle into her new life. She had worked tirelessly to get to this point, and now, as she watched her dreams slowly take shape, she felt a sense of peace she had never experienced before. But even in the midst of her newfound success, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She was grateful for the opportunity Liam had given her, for the chance to finally live the life she had always wanted, but deep down, she knew there was still a part of her heart that longed for something more, something she couldn't quite put into words. It wasn't until one evening, when she was closing up the gallery, that she realized what had been bothering her. She was tired, physically and emotionally, from the pressure of running the studio and balancing her new role at Parker Tech. She had finally found her place, and it was just the beginning. As the weeks passed after the grand opening of her art studio, Emma began to settle into her new life. She had worked tirelessly to get to this point, and now, as she watched her dreams slowly take shape, she felt a sense of peace she had never experienced before. But even in the midst of her newfound success, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Liam smiled back, his usual calm demeanor softened by something more personal. "I wanted to see how you're doing," he said, his voice low and sincere. "I've been watching you, and I'm really proud of everything you've accomplished." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words, but she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that she was still holding back. "Thanks, Liam. I've worked hard, but there's still a part of me that feels like I'm missing something." Liam straightened up, his expression shifting to one of curiosity. "What do you mean?" Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to explain the emptiness she felt despite her success. "I don't know. I just feel like I'm not fully living, like there's something I'm not doing, something I'm not embracing. I'm so focused on this studio and the job at Parker Tech that I don't know if I'm truly taking time for myself or for us." She bit her lip, surprised at how vulnerable she felt opening up to him. He studied her for a moment, and then his expression softened, the quiet understanding in his eyes telling her he was listening, truly listening. "You've been through a lot, Emma. You're finally living your dream, and I think it's normal to feel this way. Sometimes, we're so focused on achieving something that we forget to appreciate what we already have." Emma nodded, her chest tight with emotion. "I know, but I've been so focused on getting everything perfect that I've been ignoring what's right in front of me. I've neglected the people who care about me, the ones who've been with me from the start." Liam stepped closer, his presence reassuring. "What you have now is more than just a dream come true, Emma. You've built something amazing, but that doesn't mean you should forget about everything else that matters. I think you just need to remember to live in the moment, to appreciate the journey, and the people who have supported you along the way." She looked up at him, his words sinking deep into her heart. She had been so wrapped up in the process of building her future that she had forgotten to appreciate the present, to truly enjoy the people who had been by her side. And as she looked into Liam's eyes, she realized that he wasn't just a mentor or a business partner. He was someone who had helped her rediscover the importance of connection, of human warmth, and the kind of love that was deeper than any professional success. "You're right," she whispered, a smile tugging at her lips. "I've been so caught up in everything else that I forgot to appreciate what I have now, what I'm building now." Liam reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I'm here for you, Emma. I always will be. But remember, you don't have to do everything on your own. You've got me, and you've got the people who care about you." His words were a promise that in a world where everything seemed uncertain, she wasn't alone. Emma felt a wave of gratitude and peace wash over her, knowing that she had someone who believed in her not just for what she had accomplished, but for who she was. And as she looked into Liam's eyes, she realized that he wasn't just a mentor or a business partner. He was someone who had helped her rediscover the importance of connection, of human warmth, and the kind of love that was deeper than any professional success. "You're right," she whispered, a smile tugging at her lips. "I've been so caught up in everything else that I forgot to appreciate what I have now, what I'm building now." Liam reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. The weeks following that night felt like a new chapter in Emma's life. She felt lighter, as though a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Liam's words had resonated with her deeply, and she found herself taking the time to enjoy the present, to appreciate the connections she had, and to finally embrace the idea that she was deserving of not just success, but happiness. The art studio was thriving, her career at Parker Tech was moving forward, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was truly living, not just surviving. But life, as it often does, has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. One morning, while Emma was setting up for a new exhibit at the gallery, she received a call from an unfamiliar number. She hesitated before answering, unsure of what to expect. "Hello?" she said, her voice tentative. "Is this Emma Brooks?" a woman's voice asked on the other end. "Yes, this is she. Who's calling?" "This is Claire Parker," the woman said, Liam's mother. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had heard about Liam's family but had never actually met any of them. Claire Parker was a name that carried weight in the business world, and the thought of speaking to her made Emma's stomach flutter. "Oh, I didn't realize," Emma stammered. "It's perfectly fine, dear. I'm calling because I'd like to meet you. I've heard so much about you from Liam, and I think it's time we had a chat. How about lunch tomorrow?" Emma was taken aback. She hadn't expected this kind of invitation, and honestly, she wasn't sure what to make of it, but she couldn't very well say no. Yes, that sounds great," Emma finally said, trying to mask the nerves in her voice. "I'll see you then?" The weeks following that night felt like a new chapter in Emma's life. She felt lighter, as though a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Liam's words had resonated with her deeply, and she found herself taking the time to enjoy the present, to appreciate the connections she had, and to finally embrace the idea that she was deserving of not just success, but happiness. "I must say, Liam has told me so much about you," Claire said, sipping her wine. "He's very fond of you, Emma. I've never seen him so engaged in something outside of work." Emma felt a slight blush creep up her neck at Claire's words. She wasn't used to receiving such compliments, especially not from someone like Liam's mother. I really appreciate that," Emma said quietly, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her water glass. "Liam has been such an incredible support to me, and I'm just trying to make the most of the opportunities he's given me." Claire smiled warmly. "He's always had a knack for recognizing talent and potential. That's why I'm so curious about you, Emma. You're not like the others he's brought around. You're different." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Different?" she asked, trying to keep her tone casual. Claire's eyes softened, and she leaned forward slightly. "You see, Emma, I've been around the business world for a long time. I've seen Liam interact with countless people, but there's something about you that stands out. You make him think in ways he hasn't before, and that, dear, is something quite rare." Emma's mind was racing. She hadn't expected this conversation to turn in this direction. "I thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Claire's gaze softened even further, as if she could sense Emma's discomfort. "I want you to know, I'm not here to judge you, Emma. I just want to make sure you're not getting caught up in the whirlwind that sometimes surrounds Liam. He's a wonderful man, but he's also someone who has been hurt before, and I'd hate to see him get hurt again." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. She had never thought about Liam in that way, as someone who had been hurt. She had always seen him as strong, steady, and confident. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Claire paused, choosing her words carefully. "Liam has always kept people at a distance, Emma. He's never let anyone truly get close to him, at least not in the way that you have. I just want to make sure that you're both ready for whatever comes next." Emma's mind raced. Was this a warning? Or was Claire simply looking out for her son? "I understand," Emma said softly, her heart heavy. "I never meant to cause any harm, but I do care about Liam. I think I've realized that more and more every day." Claire nodded, her expression softening. "I can see that. Just promise me you'll be careful. The world you're entering now is very different from the one you came from, and with that comes a lot of complications. I just want to make sure you're both ready for them." Emma nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility settle over her. "I must say, Liam has told me so much about you," Claire said, sipping her wine. "He's very fond of you, Emma. I've never seen him so engaged in something outside of work." Emma felt a slight blush creep up her neck at Claire's words. She wasn't used to receiving such compliments, especially not from someone like Liam's mother. I really appreciate that," Emma said quietly, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her water glass. She wasn't just building her future. She was now part of something bigger, something that required careful consideration. "I will be," she said quietly, her voice firm with determination. As the lunch continued, Emma realized that Claire wasn't trying to warn her off. She was simply being a mother, caring, protective, and wanting what was best for her son. And as Emma listened to her, she understood more about Liam's past and the complexities that came with being involved in his world. She couldn't help but wonder if she was truly ready for everything that came with being in Liam's world. The more she thought about it, the more she realized how much she had to learn, not just about Liam, but about herself. She had always been independent, never one to rely on anyone else, but now, she was faced with a choice that wasn't just about her dreams. It was about whether she could open her heart to the man who had changed her life in ways she never imagined. The next few days passed in a blur as Emma continued to work on her art and her new responsibilities at Parker Tech. But the emotional weight of her conversation with Claire stayed with her, tugging at her heart. She found herself reflecting on her relationship with Liam, trying to understand how deep her feelings for him really were. She had always been cautious, never allowing herself to fall too easily. But with Liam, everything felt different. There was something about him, his sincerity, his quiet strength that made her want to trust him, to believe in the future they could build together. One evening, As Emma was finishing up her work at the studio, she received a text from Liam. "I'm coming over tonight. I've been thinking about you." The words sent a flutter of excitement through her, but also a wave of uncertainty. She had never been the type to rush into things, and the thought of taking their relationship to the next level filled her with both anticipation and fear. When Liam arrived, he was as calm and composed as ever, but Emma could sense there was something different in the air. He was more serious than usual, his eyes searching hers as if he was trying to figure out what she was thinking. "Hey," he said softly, walking toward her with a gentle smile. "How's everything going?" Emma nodded, trying to appear calm, though she could feel her heart racing. "Good, everything's good. Just been working, trying to keep up with everything." Liam stepped closer, his expression softening. "I've been thinking a lot, Emma, about everything, about us." His words caught her off guard, and she looked up at him, her heart skipping a beat. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam hesitated for a moment before continuing. "I know things have been moving fast. I know I've thrown a lot at you, and I don't want to overwhelm you. But I also don't want to keep pretending like I don't feel something deeper for you. I care about you, Emma, a lot." Emma's breath caught in her throat as she processed his words. She had known, deep down, that there was something more between them, but hearing it spoken out loud made it all the more real. She felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a mixture of relief, fear, and hope. "I care about you too, Liam," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "More than I thought I would." Liam smiled, a hint of vulnerability in his eyes. "I've never felt this way before, Emma, not with anyone else, and I don't want to keep pretending like I'm not falling for you." The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Emma could feel the weight of what Liam was saying, the sincerity in his voice, and it made her heart swell with emotion. She had spent so much time focused on her own independence, on building her future, that she had never allowed herself to truly be vulnerable with someone. But with Liam, everything felt different. She was ready to take that step, to let herself fall. Slowly, she reached for his hand, her fingers trembling slightly as they brushed against his. "I'm ready too," she whispered. "I'm ready to see where this takes us." Liam's eyes softened, and he gently cupped her face in his hands, his thumb brushing across her cheek. "I'm not going anywhere, Emma," he said, his voice filled with tenderness. "I'm here. I want this. I want you." In that moment, everything shifted. All the doubts, all the fears she had been holding on to seemed to melt away. She realized that sometimes the only way to move forward was to trust, to open her heart, and to let someone in. And with Liam, she was finally ready to do just that. As they stood there, in the quiet of the studio, their hearts beating in sync, Emma knew that the road ahead would not always be easy, but it would be worth it. Together, they would face whatever came next, side by side. The weeks that followed were filled with a newfound sense of calm and certainty. Emma and Liam's relationship, built on a foundation of trust, support, and mutual respect, flourished in ways she hadn't imagined possible. She was no longer just the woman behind the gallery doors or the tech employee at Parker Tech. She was living her life on her terms, and for the first time, everything felt aligned. Together, they faced the ups and downs of running the art studio, navigating their careers, and building a future together. But it wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, challenges that tested their resolve. But Emma knew that with Liam by her side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. They had become each other's anchor, their love growing stronger with each passing day. One evening, as they sat together on the rooftop of Liam's penthouse, the city lights twinkling below, Emma turned to him, her heart full of gratitude. "I never thought I'd be here," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never thought I'd have everything I've always wanted. And yet, here I am, with you, with the studio, with the life I always dreamed of." Liam smiled, his gaze warm and tender as he took her hand in his. "You deserve all of it, Emma," he said, his voice steady. "You've worked so hard, and now it's time for you to enjoy everything you've earned. And I'll be here, every step of the way, to support you." Emma leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling a deep sense of peace wash over her. She had once been afraid to dream, afraid to believe that she could have everything she wanted. But now, she knew that dreams were not only possible, they were real. As they sat there, watching the city fade into the night, Emma felt her heart swell with love and hope for the future. She knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. And as if on cue, Liam turned to her, his eyes filled with love and admiration. "Emma," he said softly, "there's something I've been meaning to ask you." She looked up at him, her heart racing. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. Liam smiled, a soft, genuine smile that made her heart skip a beat. "Will you marry me?" he asked, the words hanging in the air between them. Emma's breath caught in her throat, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. She had never imagined this moment, but now that it was here, it felt like everything had led up to this. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at Liam, her heart overwhelmed with emotion. "Yes," she whispered, the word escaping her lips before she could even process it. "Yes, I will." Liam's face lit up with a smile so wide it seemed to light up the whole night. He leaned in to kiss her, and in that moment, everything felt right. The world, with all its uncertainties and challenges, seemed so simple, so full of possibility. Emma realized that it wasn't just the art studio or the career that made her happy. It was the love they had built together, the connection that had grown between them, that made everything worth it. As the days turned into months, Emma and Liam's relationship only deepened. They continued to support each other, building their lives together with the same passion and dedication they had put into their individual dreams. The art studio thrived, and Emma found herself mentoring other young artists, just as Liam had mentored her. And as they stood side by side at their wedding, surrounded by friends, family, and the people who had supported them, Emma realized that the greatest masterpiece she had ever created wasn't just her art, it was the life she had built with Liam. A life filled with love, hope, and the belief that anything was possible when you followed your heart. As they exchanged vows and promised to spend the rest of their lives together, Emma knew that this was just the beginning. The future was theirs to shape, and with Liam by her side, there was no limit to what they could accomplish. And as they walked down the aisle, hand in hand, Emma couldn't help but smile, knowing that the journey they had started together was only just beginning.